Oscar nomination morning is right around the corner, so I'm here with the first Oscar science video of the season.
And the Oscar goes to...
So this was an experiment I introduced 2 years ago, and it has been revamped to help predict what films will be nominated for Best Picture. So for this experiment, I collect data points from certain precursors, guilds, and award shows. So last year, the awards calendar was a bit out of whack. For example, we had the Ace Eddie Award nominations drop after Oscar nominations, so I skipped this experiment last year. Also, the Best Picture race was a little bit more predictable. Also, this year has its own kind of unpredictability. You know, this year we had these really devastating LA fires, which has really shifted around the calendar a bit, and I live in the LA area, so you know, I know they have a lot more pressing concerns than awards, so we did have to wait a little longer for all these data points. However, PGA, BAFTA, they just rolled in, and we do officially now have enough data points to conduct this experiment. But okay, let's get started. Let's see who's gonna win this experiment. Again, we have Nickel Boy, Sing Sing. We got September 5 on the cusp. So let's see what movies are gonna come out on top. I'm gonna put on my trusty little lab coat. Again, this experiment is gonna be broken down to 3 rounds. We got round 1, the Critics Festival Awards. We got round 2, the Industry Guilds, and then round 3, televised award shows and momentum. All really important factors in seeing which films have the steam coming into Oscar morning. So let's just jump in with round 1, Critic and Festival Awards. So I haven't counted them, but there's probably hundreds of different critics groups that nominate and awards films, but we're gonna look at the 3 big ones. We're looking at the Critics' Choice, we're looking at National Board of Review, and we're gonna be looking at AFI Awards. So if a film appears on any of these groups' Best Film of the Year's list, I'm gonna go ahead and award it one of these red chips. You can see a little thumbs up, thumbs down for critics. So this is gonna represent whether critics actually like the film. And there was a lot of them, so I'm gonna go ahead and go through them, and mind me here, I have them right here because I can't memorize all these, but we have Anora was on AFI. AFI was also The Brutalist. We have A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune, all right, so this point was awarded to films that appeared on one of those 3 critics groups list, but now we're gonna boost up the films that have a little bit more strength. So let's go ahead and award a trifecta critic point to films that didn't just appear on one list, but actually appeared on all 3 Best Films of the Year list. So films that made it on the Critics' Choice, the AFI, and the NBR, they're gonna be awarded one of these trifecta critic points. And those films were A Complete Unknown, Anora, see, we got Conclave, we have Sing Sing, and we got Wicked. Okay, so we see what films are in contention. We see which films have the momentum, more momentum than others. This is usually the time where we actually give the frontrunner more of an advance by giving a point to the Critics' Choice Best Film winner. Now this year, the Critics' Choice, due to the fires, have pushed their award show until after nomination morning. So we won't have critics to go off of, but you're gonna see later that I don't think this point is really gonna affect the results, but we'll come back to that one. So moving on, so critics are great and all, but film festivals, man, that really builds the buzz for these films. So one of these film festivals is the Cannes Film Festival, and their highest award, they give the Palme d'Or. So we're gonna go ahead and give a point to the Palme d'Or winner, and recently, I think their influence has been a little bit more noticeable since the Academy has expanded its membership. So this is where we see films like Parasite, like Triangle of Sadness win, and last year the winner was Anatomy of a Fall, right? And this year, the winner of the Palme d'Or was Anora. So we're gonna go ahead and add the Palme d'Or to Anora. Another major film festival award is the Venice Film Festival and the Golden Lion Award. Like the Palme d'Or, this has actually been a lot more influential in recent years as well. So this is where we saw films like The Joker emerge. We had Nomadland, we had Roma. This year, the winner was The Room Next Door. Now, I didn't have room on this chart here for it, so that is it. It is down here, but I'm going to go ahead and give the Golden Lion to The Room Next Door. And finally, we have TIFF Audience Award. Now, the last 12 winners at the Toronto International Film Festival, the Audience Award there has gone to score a Best Picture nomination. This is where we could see, you know, the early signs for films like Room, like Jojo Rabbit, and last year's surprise winner, American Fiction. And this year, the winner went to Life of Chuck, which is actually not being released this year. So this point is pretty much void. Don't need to put it on the board, but that's who the point would have gone to, Life of Chuck. So that covers round one. Currently, we have Anora with the slight lead, but now we're gonna move on to round two, industry guilds and televised award shows. So, all right, round two, arguably more influential than critics and film festivals are award guilds, as there's no better way to see which films the industry themselves are responding to. So we're gonna start with PGA, which just dropped. So dating back to 2009, prior to last year, from my calculations, around 88% of the Best Picture nominees received a PGA nomination. So that percentage actually has increased because last year, every single PGA Best Theatrical Motion Picture nominee got nominated in Best Picture. So this year, the nominees, again, just dropped, and they were Nora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, we have Conclave, Dune got one of those, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez. We got A Real Pain. September 5, surprised, they got one. September 5 earns its first chip. We have Wicked and The Substance. Okay, so along with PGA, the Directors Guild of America, they just weighed in and they have an amazing track record in correlation with Best Picture. So check this out. Since 2009, every film nominated at DGA went on to receive a Best Picture nomination, with exception of one time. That was in 2011 when David Fincher was nominated for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo at DGA, but did not go on to get nominated for Best Picture. So this year, the film nominated at DGA was Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown got one of those, Conclave, and Amelia Perez. So being such a strong precursor with a lot of pull, we're going to now award a point to films that received both PGA and DGA, because oftentimes films that have both are actually our top 5 contenders at the Oscars. And this year, obviously, DGA, they all got nominated for PGA, so we're going to go ahead and just double up those points. This is the DGA and PGA combo. If they have both of them, they get a point. So we're going to go ahead and add those. These are our top 5 contenders likely at the Oscars. Films that have a lot of strength. All right, now let's hear from our actors. Our actors are the largest branch of the Academy. It has been getting a little smaller as of 2024. According to the Wrap, the actors now make up 12.7% of the entire Academy membership. So we're going to award a point to every film that received a SAG Ensemble nomination. And this year, those SAG Ensemble nominations were Anora, Conclave, Wicked, A Complete Unknown, and Amelia Perez. Okay, so now let's look at televised award shows, and we're going to start with the Golden Globes. We're going to start with that. So prior to last year, over 91% of the films nominated in drama ended up getting a Best Picture nomination. So we're going to go ahead and give a point to this year's Best Drama nominees, and this year there was 6 of them. We have A Complete Unknown, The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nickel Boys. Nickel Boys gets its second point there. And September 5. Where are you? Where are you? Oh, here you are. Now, Golden Globes obviously has that best musical or comedy film category, and we don't want to ignore that category, as this is where you often find your Green Book, your La La Land. And this category, the crossover to picture, is actually much weaker than the drama category. So we're going to award a point to films that got nominated in that comedy musical category and also the directing category. So this year, that would actually add 3. That would add Amelia Perez, Honora, and The Substance. And I ran out of the Golden Globes coins, so this says Critics' Choice, but just know it's Golden Globes, and this is for The Substance. So when you see that, don't get confused. I just ran out of the Golden Globe ones. And now we're going to go ahead and award a point to the winner of both the dramatic and the comedy category, since the winners are certainly very likely to be nominated. And this year, the winners were Amelia Perez, beating out Honora, and the winner for drama was The Brutalist. All right, let's take a little stock of what's going on here. It looks like we have Honora in the lead right now, currently leading by 1, and then we have a complete unknown, Amelia Perez, and Conclave kind of right behind it. But let's move on. So the next point is a very important point because this is going to hopefully catch that international film surprise. So of recent years, it's been very common for international films to pop up in that Best Picture lineup. So this point right here is awarded to the international film that wins at both Critics' Choice and Golden Globes. Now, it doesn't always happen. However, it has matched 5 out of the last 6 years, and each time it has led to a Best Picture nomination. Last year, the Critics' Choice and Golden Globes both awarded Anatomy of a Fall, so the golden star of international acclaim that holds a lot of weight went to Anatomy of a Fall. This year, again, we do not have the Critics' Choice winner because Critics' Choice has pushed. However, we can make the assumption it's going to be Amelia Perez. But technically, I can't award it. I can't award it because we don't know 100%. So we'll get back to this at the end, but just know that most likely it would have been Amelia Perez, but we'll get back to it. All right, so the next point is designated to catch the animated feature film spoiler. Now, we've had films like Toy Story 3 get into Best Picture, but I wanted to think about the future. You know, Boy and the Heron did really well last year, winning animated film over Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse at the Golden Globes and Oscars. So, you know, though it's rare, this point will go to a film that won at the Golden Globes and is nominated for Best Film at one of the previously mentioned major guild groups like PGA or Critics' Choice. So last year, the winner of the Golden Globes was Boy and the Heron, and it was actually nominated by the National Board of Review as well. So last year, that point would have gone to Heron. So this year, the Globes gave it to Flow. However, it hasn't popped up at AFI or PGA or anything like that, so no point is awarded this year. All right, so now let's move over to BAFTAs, the British Academy Awards. So though BAFTA does take an extra liking to UK films, there's still a very solid crossover in that Best Picture category from BAFTA to Oscars. So prior to last year, since 2013, it's been about 94% accurate with only 3 films that was nominated at Best Film at BAFTA. It did not make the cut at Oscars. So this year, the nominees at BAFTA was A Complete Unknown, The Brutalist, Conclave, Amelia Perez, and Honora. All right, so now we're going to take a look at 2 categories at BAFTAs. We're going to look at editing and we're going to look at screenplay, and we're going to take a closer look at 2 more industry guilds. So first, we're going to take a look at ACE, the American Cinema Editors, also known as the ACE Eddie Awards. So Ace Eddie, they split its feature film into 2 different categories, like dramatic and comedic and animated. So this point is actually going to be awarded to films that were nominated at both the Ace Eddie and BAFTA. And the reason why this is important is because there's a big correlation between editing and Best Picture. So the editing point that got at BAFTA and Eddie is awarded to Honora, Conclave, Dune Part 2, and Amelia Perez. All right, so now let's look at the WGA, the Writers Guild of America. So since WGA often deems some films ineligible due to films being produced outside of WGA's collective bargaining agreement, it's difficult to gauge the support of looking at the Writers Guild alone. So what I did is I expanded this point to include the screenplay category at BAFTA and Golden Globes as well. So in order to get the screenplay point, you need to be nominated twice at either BAFTA, Golden Globes, or WGA, any combination, just twice at any of those three. So that awards a point to the following films. We have Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Amelia Perez, A Real Pain, The Substance. Wow, The Substance hasn't been doing as well as I thought it would. A Complete Unknown, and Nickel Boys. All right, let's do a quick recap on the score. We have Anora with 11 points. We have Conclave and Amelia Perez right behind it with 10. A Complete Unknown with 9. We have The Brutalist with 8. And then we have Wicked, Dune, and Substance tied at 4. And then we have A Real Pain and Nickel Boys with 3. And then we have Sing Sing and September 5th tied with 2. So let's see if Sing Sing or September 5th can catch up and get into this race. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I know this is a very extensive experiment, but we're down to our last few points, and this pertains to other factors and momentum. So let's go on with round 3. Okay, so this point is what I call the momentum. So no doubt, one of the strongest factors in creating buzz around a film is simply the words, and the winner is. And if you look at the Best Picture category, as of late, the majority are often recognized in the acting categories as well. And when a film wins at Globes, or when an actor wins an award, it raises that film's visibility. So if a film is on a winning streak in the acting categories at Critics' Choice and Globes, and since we don't have winners for SAG yet, it has to be nominated at SAG, we're going to award the kind of acting boost award. So for example, Judas and the Black Messiah, Daniel Kaluuya, he won the Golden Globes, then he won at Critics' Choice and was nominated later at SAG. So he was steamrolling the season. It showed the film's popularity, or was building the film's popularity. It had the chicken or the egg, whatever you want to call it. But last year is another example. Robert Downey Jr., he was a steamroller. He won at Globes, then won at Critics' Choice and at SAG. So Oppenheimer would get that point. Now again, we don't have the Critics' Choice to go by this year, so we're going to have to come back to this point. I think you'll see, though, it won't really affect things too much. All right, so moving on to our next and final point, and this is dedicated, I would say, to the rare art house or international films that sneak into Best Picture. So this is essentially to catch that Triangle of Sadness, catch that Drive My Car. And someone in a previous video pointed out to me in the previous experiment, that previous experiment, it didn't catch Triangle of Sadness. And they pointed out to me that Triangle of Sadness, got into that comedy category at Globes. And it's true. An international film cracking that Golden Globes comedy best film category hardly, if, ever happens. So it also snagged a Best Supporting Actress nomination at BAFTA and Globes. And we really didn't have a point in place to really take note of something like that. So we gave a point already to the Palme d'Or winner, to the Golden Globe winner, and the foreign language film winner that won at Critics' Choice and Globes. But we're going to award an additional point if one of those films, or if any international film nominee at Globes, also receives 2 nominations in any above-the-line categories at BAFTA or Golden Globes, or is nominated by a major guild like PGA or DGA or SAG. So we're talking acting, directing, screenplay. So for example, Drive My Car, right? Hamaguchi, he was nominated for screenplay and director at BAFTA, and that was a big sign of that film's strength. It was the winner of the Golden Globes Best Film in a non-English category, then nominated in major categories at BAFTA. So it earns a point. So this year, the Golden Lion winner was The Room Next Door. Aside from a Best Actress nomination at Globes, it didn't pop up at PGA, didn't pop up at BAFTA, so no point. But both the Golden Globe International Film winner, Amelia Perez, and the Palme d'Or winner, Anora. They've been doing really well, both at PGA and DGA, for example. They both got it, so they both get this point. This is the Art House International Rising Point, and we're gonna go ahead and give them each a point. All right, well, that completes our experiment, and this experiment does give us a top 10. Leading in first place, we have Anora with 12 points. Second place, we have Amelia Perez with 11 points. Then we got Conclave in third place. In fourth place, we have a complete unknown. And then in fifth place, that's where we have the Brutalist. Sixth, seventh, and eighth place, all tied with 4 points. We got Wicked, Dune, The Substance, put it in whatever order you want. And then the final 2 spots, we have a Real Pain and Nickel Boys. I would likely prioritize the PGA nomination, so I would probably put a Real Pain in 9th and Nickel Boys there in that 10th slot. So I know looking at this is a lot, right? And in the event of a tie, we actually do have a tiebreaker round. So in our 11th and 12th spot, we had a tie between Sing Sing and September 5, and I was curious who would win that tiebreaker between the two. If, you know, if there was a film to sneak in there, I wanted to know which film would have a better chance of sneaking in there. And it was really, really close with even the tiebreaker, but Sing Sing did win that tiebreaker round with just a smidge. Again, I wanted to show you that this is very, very close. We're talking about our last few remaining films only coming out by 1 point difference. So I wanted to also show you last year's experiment. The end results of last year came out with a very, clear top 10 films as well. And all of those films ended up getting nominated for Best Picture. Okay, so let's go over a few of those categories that we skipped over. Now remember, we awarded a point to the Critics' Choice Best Film winner. Now, we can kind of speculate the winner could be Anora, it could be Brutalist, it could be Conclave. Again, we don't know, but we know it's probably going to be one of these top tier films. And so, yeah, I can't give it a point, but it's likely not going to be one of these lower tier films, right? Now, the other point we skipped is the foreign language film from the Critics' Choice and Golden Globes match. Now, we don't know who's going to win technically that Critics' Choice, but it's likely going to be Amelia Perez, and clearly Amelia Perez is going to get nominated. So the point is not a make or break. You can add it on, you cannot. And also the point, is not, it couldn't qualify to any other film anyways. And then we have that other point where we skipped, which is the televised actor win bump. So this went to films that feature a performance that is kind of steamrolling the season, winning at Critics' Choice and Golden Globes, and nominated at SAG. Now, we don't have a Critics' Choice winner because Critics' Choice has been postponed. So let's say the winner at Globes repeats at Critics' Choice. Well, that would be Demi Moore. That would add a point to The Substance. And let's say Adrian Brody repeated at Critics' Choice. Well, that would add a point to The Brutalist. Or let's say Zoe Saldana won for Amelia Perez. Well, that would only further Amelia Perez's lead. Or we have Kieran Culkin, right? He's expected to be a steamroller this season. And if he was, that would add another point to A Real Pain, which would give it even further of a lead. So in short, this is the 10 films the experiment has decided. Now, this is just a tool that you can lean on. Now, you can go off on your own limb. You don't have to listen to this. For me, I use this as a tool to see which way I might be leaning. And you know what? I kind of agree with the results here. So I'm going to stick with what this experiment has given me. I'm putting A Real Pain at 9. I'm putting Nickel Boys at 10. I'm putting Sing Sing at 11. September 5 at number 12. I'll probably put Challengers at number 13 because it is contending for screenplay and editing. But I would be shocked completely by an All We Imagine Is Light. There's a lot of passion behind the film. Even though that didn't pick up any points, I could see a world where maybe that sneaks in there. It wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Sing Sing pop in there or September 5. Again, something strange is happening with Sing Sing. Clarence Macklin just popped in at BAFTA, which is very strange. There's a few celebrities who seem to have gotten around to seeing it. So anything is possible. Again, I wouldn't trust this experiment 100%. This is just for fun. This is something I like to do. Again, I got this lab coat online. I'm not a real doctor, so don't trust me. But I'm going to go ahead and try to film a final Oscars prediction video before Oscar nomination morning. And I got some more Oscar experiments this season. So if you're not subscribed already, subscribe, hit the notification bell, so that way you don't miss any of these Oscar science videos. Also, comment below which predictions you're making for your 10 films on Oscar nomination morning. But thanks again for watching. Until next time, everyone, I will see you at the Oscars.